Fresh off a long drive back from the Valley of the Sun, it's Bernie Neighbors, and I'm Jeff McCarriger. This is BoarderLine. All right, so how many hours did it take for you to? So, all right, so we just had an event out in Arizona. For those of you who don't know, so we had SuperHole and our first pro shootout out in Scottsdale, Arizona. Awesome weekend, great venue.
Yep.
And you had to drive the truck out there, and by truck, one of those huge box trucks.
Yep.
So drove out there, drove back. How many hours was that coming back? How was the journey?
I mean, we wanted to watch the Super Bowl, right? So we left Sunday morning, probably got a late start, ended up watching it in Santa Fe, stopped in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is a little out of the way, but not really with the way that you can come back. But the next day drove from Santa Fe to Memphis, and that's a haul. That's a long way to drive in a big box truck. And then from Memphis to Atlanta yesterday, and then Michael Kane drove on back to Charlotte last night.
So we've talked about this before, but any big adventures? Did you see anything interesting?
We're driving.
I mean, what do you guys talk about like for 20 hours?
We don't. We talk about stuff, and then you put your headphones in, listen to music. At times, and yeah. I mean, it's a lot of time to be stuck in. This is not a comfortable ride. This isn't.
No.
Josh Keck obviously goes through it too. This isn't your car, right? This is
right.
Yeah, it's not fun. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, certain people like it. I mean, it's fun. Like when we go ways, like when we drove up to Santa Fe, that was cool. Never seen that before, right? I think I went on that drive from Albuquerque to Santa Fe when I was 20. I don't remember it. But driving up from Phoenix up that direction up towards Santa Fe, I've never been that direction. It's gorgeous. It's unbelievably cool, right? I mean,
wow. I've never been up there either.
It's amazing to see. The problem is coming back, once you leave Santa Fe, you get down, you end up on 40. I mean, I've been on 40 a number of times. Yeah, a number of times. So I hate it. And there's just nothing to see. Like, look, that part of Texas, the panhandle of Texas, and then Oklahoma through Arkansas, no offense to anyone that's watching that's from those areas, there's nothing to see.
Yeah.
It's flatlands and
right.
There's nothing. And that wears on you because that's a lot of hours just looking at nothing.
Yeah, I've made the drive through Texas a few times, not as many times as you have, but I've done it a few times. And yeah, there's not a whole lot out there. But
in West Texas, you've got mountains and the desert. It's kind of cool. But the Panhandle up there is just like Oklahoma. It's no different from Oklahoma. It's plain state up there.
I don't remember mountains in West Texas. I remember that.
Really? When you get down towards El Paso on the border on West Texas?
Maybe because we were up further north. We were up like Midland, Odessa on the way to
Dallas. That area is not. There's nothing to see but oil fields. But when you keep taking 10 all the way down to El Paso. Yeah, you hit mountains, man. So it's desert mountains. You start to climb in elevation. It's interesting. Yeah. It's cool.
The Phoenix area is beautiful, isn't it? Like where we were.
I love Scottsdale.
Scottsdale's really pretty.
I like Scottsdale. I don't like everyone says it. I don't know how I could handle July, August, September when it's 115 every day. I mean, I don't know how they handle that, but I love Scottsdale.
Yeah, I've got a buddy of mine out there. From college who lives out there. And yeah, I mean, he said July, August, September, you're basically just inside. I mean, you can't even go outside. Like it's even hot. He said it's even hot to be in the pool.
Right. Because I'm sure the pool water's probably over 100 degrees at that point.
Yeah, it's not even
sitting out in the sun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a sauna. So, but the rest of the year, and when we were out there, it's great time to be out there.
It was gorgeous. And we got lucky. Because apparently they were going through a little bit of a warming trend while we were there. So it was up around 70 in the afternoon and a little higher there in the last couple of days. So it was apparently in the winter, it still does get down, pretty chilly. But I love it.
Yeah, I do too. So speaking of Scottsdale, a very unique venue that we were in for SuperHole and for the pro shootout. And by the way, yes, I now know that there was a half-naked woman behind me when we shot the Open for ESPN. I didn't.
Was there? I didn't even see it.
Oh my God, Bernie! They didn't. I didn't realize that there was, and David didn't tell me. I wish he would have, because I could have at least referenced it and said, "Wow, over my shoulder. What a venue. I mean,
what was behind you?
Really? So remember the chandelier?
Yeah.
With the dancer?
I mean, yeah.
The dancer
wasn't half naked. She was wearing like a nude, but it was a one piece.
I mean, come on, you could see her ass. I mean,
oh my God, man.
Watch the Open.
Come on. In today's world, she could have been a lot less naked a lot more naked on television.
Yeah. But it was awkward for that to be over my shoulder and no one tell me about it. So I'm sitting here, all Mr. ESPN. Hello and welcome to Arizona.
You're a professional, Jeff.
Yeah, but it would have been a lot more fun.
You can't even be distracted by nakedness.
It would have been a lot more fun to know that was over my shoulder, so I could have at least referenced it. So I didn't realize it, and so we taped the Open about anywhere between 30 and 60 minutes prior to broadcast. So we taped it, and it's good. So I head back over to the announcer table and we sit there and do our final prep and talk to the players as they're warming up. And then here we go. 3, 2, 1, we're on the air. David, our director / producer, he hits play. We play the taped Open, and there it is. I'm sitting there. Hello, welcome to Arizona, and welcome to 2023 Super Bowl. And this woman is hanging from the chandelier, wearing nude colored tights. I mean, you can see her right there. And I'm like, wait a second, what the hell is that?
That's funny because it must look completely different on TV. Because I actually spoke to both those ladies
very obvious.
Back behind, and I didn't even think of them as being underdressed. I mean, I knew they were wearing a form-fitting outfit, a gymnastics type outfit, but I didn't even think of it being revealing.
Yeah, when you put camera lights on it behind you, you can see a lot. Watch the Open again. Yeah,
I will. So see how provincial you're actually being.
Yeah, no, that's a big word. I don't know what that means, but it was awkward.
What do you think of the venue? Great. Yeah, what do you think of the venue? I mean, like the whole thing.
The venue was the whole thing was for those who don't know, it was a really upscale place. I mean, like it was so incredibly bougie. I mean, people in there dressed to the nines. And people in there with tons of money. I mean, lots and lots of money. I mean, we're talking high-end executives with brands, with sports. I think there were some celebrities maybe who showed up.
The Breaking Bad cast rolled in. Did you see those guys?
I did not see them.
Yeah, their tequila was on display. So Aaron Paul and my brain, main character Bryan Cranston. They were tooling around.
Oh, that's awesome. Their Super Bowl commercial, by the way, was my favorite.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, we had there was a couple other celebs in there, but I didn't quite frankly, our baseball celebrities, well, Justin Turner, I mean, you and I talked about what a great guy he was. I mean, I talked to that guy. Yeah. That dude is awesome.
Yeah, we're going to try and get him on the show.
Yeah, that guy's a legitimate, really cool human being.
Yep. World Series champion. Now go to the Red Sox. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, it was a great story. Did you talk to him at all about his story? Like one of the reasons why he's so grounded in the way that, because it took him 29, he was 29 before he realized, hey, I'm going to stick in the majors. This is going to work for me.
Yeah, I knew he had a long journey in the minor leagues before he finally made it up. But no, to answer your question, no, I didn't, because we were having some issues on the TV side.
Oh, yeah.
And so I didn't get a chance to get back to the green room where they were warming up until the very end. So I went running in there, dashed in there. He played for the Norfolk Tides. That was one of his stops when he was at the Mets organization. And I just missed him. I was there for about 4 or 5 years prior to him getting there. So I just missed him, but we kind of commiserated about that. Talked to him about his cornhole game. Super nice guy. So no, I mean, I talked to him for like 4 or 5 minutes and that was it.
Yeah, I talked to him afterwards, and I probably talked to him for 30 minutes. And I mean, I'm interested. I started asking questions, and I'm like, so what's it like for someone like you to deal with a 21-year-old that comes in there, they're 19, 20 when they get to the majors. They've never had a setback athletically. Is that hard to be to talk to guys like? He's like, yeah. He's like, what do you say to a 21-year-old kid that's in the major leagues that's never had a setback? What do you say to them? Right. Hey, watch out for pitfalls. Really? What pitfalls? They're 21 in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but we talked for a while. He's the coolest guy, really interesting guy.
Yeah. He seemed like a really grounded guy. I mean, he was everything that I had heard about and what I expected. But yeah, so I mean, he truly would be a great podcast guest.
He would.
So hopefully we'll get him on and talk about his story. But Yeah, so great storylines that came out of Arizona, and the venue. Yeah, so the venue I thought was really cool for a change. Just to have, I mean, it was just so incredibly high end. I thought it was kind of cool, and then all the cars that were stacked and stage. It was just kind of a cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I actually got some really good feedback on the broadcast as far as the crowd noise. Kathy was telling me that because she was watching, and I had a few other people who told me too that the crowd actually sounded like they were really into it. So
I think we got lucky a little bit there. That was the big worry behind the scenes was,
yeah,
the party
stands.
The no stands. Yeah. The party started at 6:30 local. Our event didn't start till 10:30 local. So that's 4 hours. We were expecting, and there were a lot of people that kind of came, did some FaceTime for a little while and left. And that there was a lot of that. But the worry was that's all it would be. Right. Yeah. And no one would stay around and watch. And actually, I would say about half the people stayed and watched. And it was really cool to have that group of people there, really, because they saw the cornhole court set up. They saw some of the pros practicing. And I think genuinely people are like, we've got to watch this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've got to see what this is all about.
They were legit into it.
Yeah.
And I think something that really helped too is them being able to surround the court. Because again, there were no stands. There were high top tables where they could bring their drinks and like finger food type stuff. And when people started to kind of surround the court and watch the pros warm up, and they even let some of the fans come out and actually shoot on the boards a little bit and see what it's like to shoot from 27 feet away. I think they instantly, I mean, literally like instantly got a greater appreciation for what these guys were doing, especially Jimmy McGuffin. I mean, he is one of our just airmail greats. Everything in the hole. And when he started doing that, knocking off 8, 10 airmails in a row, I think is when everyone's, I could just see the crowd.
They're all looking around like, is that real?
Yeah, what the heck is this?
Because 27 feet for those that play the game used to it doesn't matter to them. But for those that don't really, unless they're playing at their local bar or whatever, when it might be 15 feet. 27 feet, and that's front to front. So it's 30 feet. It's 10 yards hole to hole.
Yeah.
Right? That's a long way to do what they do.
And we make this analogy all the time. When you and I go play golf, like last year when we played at TPC Scottsdale, the tee boxes are way up.
Sure.
So we hit a great shot and maybe, every once in a while get a shot on the green, right? Yeah. But then you look at where the pros tee off from, and it's another, Bernie, 50, 100 feet back?
Sure. Depending on the hole. Yeah. Depending on the hole, could be 80 yards back.
Yeah. So. Right. Yeah. No, sorry. Yeah. 50 to 100 yards is what I meant. Yeah. I mean, it's way back. So, I mean, it's just a totally different sport that the cornhole players are playing from. I mean, when you go from 27 feet, and really, like I say on the broadcast, when we say 27 feet, that's tip to tip. When you go hole to hole, I mean, you're adding another 3 feet. So I mean, up the board. So it's really almost closer to 33 feet hole to hole. So, but it's a long way.
It's a long way.
But no, Arizona was great. We had some great storylines that came out of it. Jamie Graham was looking to become the all-time winningest player in ACL history, looking for his 19th career title. And we were saying, I mean, he was going to have his work cut out for him because there's no one playing better than Kyle Malone. Kyle won it. No surprise. I mean, he really is playing a different level right now. And then Cheyenne changing bags. That was such a mystery behind the scenes. If she was going to go with the sticky bags, she did. She used the carpet bags and won. And then Ryan Wiedenfeld and Ryan Smith. I mean, we know about Ryan, outstanding player, 6 career titles now. And then Ryan Wiedenfeld, just 16 years old. His father unexpectedly passed away. Probably about 3 weeks ago now. Just less. I
believe he's 17 now. I believe he turned 17.
Did he turn 17?
Yeah. Either way,
a young kid, and so the Ryans win it on the double side. I mean, just some incredible storylines. I mean, as fun as SuperHole was, the shootout was the shootout. I thought was really.
And once again, people stayed because SuperHole was first, so they watched baseball and football players play, and look. No offense to any of those folks, but it's not the same level of play. Even the pros, when they play with them, they're not as dialed in and as focused, right? You'll see them make more mistakes than they would normally make, right?
Right.
When the people actually saw the pros start to play and start to manipulate the board and start to do, because you were talking about Jimmy McGuffin and the airmail show he was putting on kind of in practice. I actually watched this because I wanted to see, because I knew, for example, in the Kyle Malone game with Jamie, it would be dirty at times and it would be a strategy game and it wouldn't just be hole for hole for hole, right? And I wanted to see the facial reactions if it was the same. It wasn't, but the ones that got it liked it more than the other people. Does that make sense to you?
The ones who appreciate the strategy.
They were like, oh, and they saw what they were doing, and they're like, wow, that's crazy. How are they able to do? Right. They're literally putting the board in spots. The bags on spots on the board. Like they you could tell all of a sudden their face just lit up, and that was cool to see as well.
Yeah. Well, let's get to our guest today. Speaking of Super Bowl and football, and speaking of the pro shootout, our first one in Arizona, our guest today. He will be on for the second time, so he is a 2-time BoarderLine guest. But again, are people making fun of my opens, by the way? Bringing these players on?
I think people make fun of us in general.
Okay, that's okay. But as long as it's both of us.
Yeah, it's us.
But truly, I mean, again, he's a guy that we've known for a long time, and he has great perspective on cornhole and playing it. One of the things I love about him is that we've talked about this with other guests as well and other players, is that we actually have a lot of players now who have kind of crossed over sports, right? Back in the day, back in high school, or even like in our guest case today, played in college at a high level, but many of them have played football. They've played basketball, a lot of baseball players. And then we have guys who have played like Nate Voyer, played darts. Matt Guy started in horseshoes. We have a lot of guys who started in horseshoes. So many other cornhole players who have started in other sports. And this guy did the same thing. I talk about it on the broadcast all the time. Former college football player at a high level, defensive back at James Madison. But now all of a sudden, he's a huge accomplished cornhole player. 6 career titles, and 4 of those have been round limited, like we had in Arizona. And the winner, again, winning the first automatic bid on the pro shootout double side. Please welcome back to BoarderLine, Ryan Smith. What's up, Ryan?
What's going on, guys? Jeff, Bernie.
What's happening?
Hey, dude, thanks for making this work. I know, like, all of a sudden, like Bernie and I were like frantically trying to get you yesterday because we were like, oh shit, we got to get Ryan. So, hey, thanks for making time for us today.
No problem. I'm finally back to normal. The past 2 days, I've been like a zombie, just trying to catch up on sleep and get adjusted from the trip out to Arizona.
Yeah. All right, so we were just talking about you. So Ryan Smith and Ryan Wiedenfeld win. So for those, again, who don't know, on the pro shootout side, so we have our national tournaments, right, which are like our majors. But then there's a different tour. You have the pro shootout tour, and there's 8 stops. So we have men's singles, women's singles, and pro doubles. So each winner gets that automatic bid. There'll be 8 automatic bids. You get into the championship at the end of the season. Last year it was worth like $500,000. It was something insane. So Ryan Smith, Ryan Wiedenfeld won on the double side, so they get that automatic bid. They can relax. They're in on the double side for the rest of the summer. You can just sit back and watch. You'll still obviously compete on the single side, but so long trip out there, Ryan, and long trip back. Did you fly? Did you drive? I mean, I'm hoping that you flew.
Yeah, I flew. I got in Thursday night around 8, and then just took a Uber over to the Airbnb.
So what was your weekend like? I mean, with SuperHole and with the pro shootout, I mean, was it just crazy?
I mean, it was awesome. I mean, the event. So I got over there early just to socialize and stuff for the event, like 3-4 hours before we actually played, and then met up with Ryan Fitzpatrick and the SuperHole. It didn't go as well as we had hoped, but it was still awesome hanging out with them and getting to play with Fitzpatrick and things. And then the shootout. I mean, Ryan and I was able to close it out. It feels good to get that out of the way and not have to worry about going the gauntlet of the provision to try to lock up a spot in doubles. Just focusing on singles and that aspect of it. Yeah, it was awesome.
So, all right, I have to know what was the other football player we had? My brain is really not working. My brain's not back yet.
Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett. All right, so when I'm looking at Tyler Lockett, I don't see a very large individual. How is someone, and since you're a defensive back, you can probably speak to this more. How is someone his size, physically, able to survive in the NFL? Is it just speed? Just pure speed?
Well, Tyler, he's a great pass catcher, a great route runner, and you avoid big hits and injuries. I mean, you can make it happen. He was a big playmaker in college. I want to say he went to Kansas State.
Yep,
he did.
But yeah, I mean, he's just been making plays. So you avoid big hits, and then you great route runners, sort of like an Julian Edelman or Walker,
Sure.
smaller type receivers who just can get open. You get mismatches when you got linebackers and slower slot corners and safeties guarding you. So
it's just when I looked over at him and I met him, I was like, wow. When I think NFL player, even some of the wide receivers are just jacked up dudes, right?
yeah.
And then you see Tyler, I'm like, wow.
I mean, you compare him to his counterpart at DK Metcalf.
Right, right. DK Metcalf looks like a Mr. Olympia competition guy.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
That was nuts.
Well,
I
so
mean-
so you referenced it, Ryan, but yeah, I mean, I would say a bit of an upset because you were playing with Ryan Fitzpatrick, right?
Yep.
I mean, Fitzmagic.
Fitzmagic.
And you know, by the way, I mean, for a guy who a lot of people kind of make fun of, he actually had a hell of a career. I was looking back in his numbers, 14, 16 years in the NFL. He threw for over 34,000 yards in his career. So I mean, he actually had some legit numbers. But the big thing is, for those who weren't following or didn't watch, Ryan Fitzpatrick, NFL quarterback, a good cornhole player, like legit cornhole player, and apparently back during the practice session back in the green area, he was killing it. And I don't know if the nerves got to him. I mean, you can talk about it, but I mean, Tyler Lockett, wasn't that who you guys? Yeah, because you guys played against Tyler, and Tyler Lockett had never played before. Great football player, but I mean, his cornhole experience was literally zero. And so I really thought that you and Fitz were gonna run the table. So what happened? What happened with Fitzpatrick?
I mean, I think from down there, and Tyler actually played a lot better than I expected. And when he did miss, we weren't able to capitalize, which Ryan told me at the end. And then down my end, Cheyenne didn't miss anything. I guess she saved all the misses for the next game against Newman. She gave up a 10 and a 5 back-to-back rounds. But
yeah, right.
She hit everything at my end. And then, we just couldn't capitalize down there. I mean, we still should have won. I gave up a 6, I think, the last round. But yeah, it just didn't pan out well.
How much? What is it like to play in those? Because I mean, I can tell you just honestly, between you, me, Bernie, and everyone else watching, our other 15 listeners, it's a train wreck on the broadcast side. I mean, it really is, because you got people screaming, you got people yelling, you got people cheering. The players are talking to each other. They're trash talking. You guys are trying to talk a little bit of strategy. Guys are trying to coach. We're trying to talk and tell everyone what the hell is going on. It seriously feels like a train wreck. I mean, what does it feel like to you guys up there?
Yeah, I just kind of go with the flow. Never know what's going to happen. Like on the last round, we still had a chance to win. And Tyler went behind the board and raised up his shirt and started doing all sorts of stuff mid-throw. And it made me double clutch. And then I ended up shanking the bag. So I mean, you never know what's going to happen in that at all. So
yeah, I mean, we've had Jeff Morrow from the Food Network last year brought out a flask and started pouring shots down everyone's throat during the broadcast.
Yeah, it's definitely a different scene. So, all right. Piggyback on your question, Jet, is it hard for you guys as cornhole professionals to focus when you're playing in SuperHole events?
I mean, me personally, no, because I think of it in a different mindset. It's more, I don't know, it's more stress-free and just socialize. It's almost like playing back home with friends or something. You never know what they're going to do. They might push you, they might punch you or something while you're throwing. So for me, it's sort of like that vibe where you're talking in between bags a lot more and just going with the flow. So I kind of take it from that perspective.
What'd you think of the venue? Bernie and I were talking about it before you came on, but I mean, pretty damn bougie, huh?
Yeah, it was awesome. I love the setup. It was amazing. Just cars in the backdrop and
definitely wasn't your normal cornhole crowd.
No,
it wasn't, but it was sweet though. Everyone was talking to us and asking questions, and I loved it.
Did you meet who were the most popular people? Apparently, the guys from Breaking Bad were there. Did you meet any of those people, or were you too?
I didn't get to meet them. I heard them late. I heard about that late in the once everything was winding down. But no, I didn't get to meet them. Just a whole bunch of random people. I just started making conversations with and things. So it was pretty cool.
Hey, I want to get your thoughts real quick before we talk talk more about you and Ryan Wiedenfeld and your guys' win. What were your thoughts on Jamie's match with Kyle Malone? Because Jamie, obviously, as most people watching this podcast know, tied with Matt Guy with 18 career titles, so they're tied for first all time. So Jamie had a chance to pass Matt Guy, but damn it, Ryan, Kyle is just, I mean, he's at another level right now, so I wasn't surprised. But what were your thoughts on that match?
No, it was throwing. Watching it, I knew it was going to be close because they were both, when they left a blocker, they were just both like going in, replacing. It's like a matter of who's going to miss, who hit the big shot. And I think the turning point in that match is when Kyle hit the airmail to drag. And I think he got 2. And then it forced Jamie to do something similar 2 rounds later, and he ended up missing. But that was the difference. I mean, that could have gone either way. They both were on, and then it was just a matter of an airmail at the right time.
Yeah, so one of my favorite shots was Jamie had to try and lay a blocker. I think he was trying to lay a blocker behind, because Kyle had a couple of bags right around the hole. Jamie had one a little bit front right, and he really needed to kind of go front left to block Kyle. He left a little bit too far left and literally left just a small lane in between his 2 bags. And Anthony Ione nailed it on the broadcast. He said, Jeff, he's left a lane. And I'm like, a lane? There's like 3 inches. How the hell is he going to get it in there? And sure enough, I don't know if you remember the shot, but he went hard slick side push right up the middle, hit that perfect little 3-inch gap, and took them all in, collected them all. I mean, it was a high level skill shot.
No, definitely. I mean, he's at that level, and the way he's been throwing, that was huge. I think that might have been like the game sealer there once he collected that for a 4 spot, I think.
It was. Listen to Jeff.
Where the hell did that come from?
Side push. That was correct. That was nice, Jeff.
That was like awesome. An out-of-body experience. What the hell just happened? All right, so so then you had to switch gears, right, after SuperHole and get on the court to try and win that automatic bid in doubles with Ryan Wiedenfeld. And again, before we get into a story about his dad, that aside, you remember this, Ryan, and maybe it's a little bit easier for you because you played football at a high level, and you played at James Madison, televised games, so in front of crowds. So maybe it wasn't a big deal for you back when you made your ESPN debut. But this kid is 16, 17 years old, and on top of the fact that his father just passed away, less than a month ago, he's got to be on national TV for the first time. Like, did you sense any nerves in him at all? Because I couldn't believe how composed he was.
No, I didn't sense anything. I mean, we had played in a couple tournaments leading up to this that he was still down to play in, and he seemed fine, like his normal. He's really quiet anyway. I didn't think the stage itself would get to him. After Myrtle Beach, when we played Trevor Brooks and Bernasette, and him withstanding Trevor talking the entire match, talking directly at him, and he was just throwing lights out. I was like, this broadcast stage isn't going to be nothing to him, because just having to, if you're not used to listening to Trevor talk and just talk trash, it will get in your head. So, and he was not fazed at all. And I was like, okay, yeah, this dude he's an assassin. Like, that does not faze him at all.
All right. So, Ryan, you've developed this point in your career where you've moved into an upper echelon status anyway, but you've now become one of the best players in the game in a round limited format. And for those at home that don't understand how our shootout series works, it's best of 12 in practice and best of 10 rounds when you get on TV. Why are you so good in round limited formats? What are you doing differently, if anything at all? What is it about your game that suits that format?
For me, I just feel like I have the advantage going against fast bag players, for one, because if I get up early, I feel like I have an even greater chance of winning, because what can they do? They're not going to block me. I'm just going to roll over it. They're not used to blocking, or I'm just going to roll over it. I feel like, and it's more strategy. I just try to get up. I limit the airmails. I just roll over everything or cause chaos and just try to get a point here and there. And then I'm always thinking, how many rounds left? I'll just wash this round out. It's just constantly thinking and just trying to get out of it. Basically, you're just trying to survive for 10 to 12 rounds. And a lot of people still play it with the same mindset as if they're playing at 21, which is their downfall, it's for me, it's completely different.
100%.
Yeah, I heard somebody say, I don't think you told me this. I think it was somebody else who said that you had been talking about it, and that you really wanted to try and get out to an early lead, and it was just crucial to score first. And Ryan, I mean, that is spot on. I don't know if you know the stat. I asked Trey about this, and unfortunately, we didn't know the exact number before we went on the broadcast. We were trying to find it, but last year's shootout, the player that scored first won over 70% of the matches.
That's a crazy stat, actually.
Isn't
70%?
Yeah, and at one point I think it was in the 80s, but by the time the season ended, I think it was the 70s. So that strategy to get on top early, I mean, obviously that there's something to that.
No, definitely. I mean, going into Arizona, that was, I mean, obviously that was our game plan, but we had Ryan and I had a strategy. He was going to go hole for hole with Jimmy, and I was going to block Damon. That was the game plan, but he got a 6 to start. So I'm like, all right, scratch that. It's no point in blocking now. So I threw the first, I think 9 or 10 in the hole. I was like, there's no point in blocking if we're up 6-0 in 10 rounds or 9 rounds to go. So kind of just scratched it and went with it.
Did you feel any pressure, Clint, with all that the Wiedenfeld family had been through, and Ryan, and getting there, and the whole family was there, and all the emotion? He is a quiet kid, and you're not really going to see much on his face, but obviously there's stuff going on behind there considering everything he's been through. Did you feel any added pressure, or were you just like, hey, man, let's just play blinders, not worry about it? Or did you feel any added pressure? I don't want to let this kid down right now considering everything he's been through.
I wouldn't say pressure. I mean, we had played an event the week before out in North Dakota and then New Mexico as well. After all he's gone through, and he seemed fine. We talked and chatted and hung out outside of Cornhole and things. But me personally, I was just more motivated to win it for him. Like I know this is his first stage. His whole family was going to be there. I was like, I want to win this for him. Like, I mean, I want to win myself, but it was just more motivation to just want to win it for him.
And sorry, Jeff, real quick, and then I'll get out of your way on this. But I think you guys could not have been playing a better team in that situation than Damon Dennis and God, my brain today.
Jimmy McGuffin.
What is going on? Jimmy McGuffin, Damon Dennis, because they wanted him to win too. You know what I mean? Like there's certain people you could have played that are like, I don't care who we're playing, we want to win. And they do want to win all the time, but they're gentlemen. Right, and I know for a fact that they weren't too upset that y'all won that match.
No, they're awesome team players, and actually, I think later that night or the next day, Damon messaged me, just like congrats and things. You can never be against him. I mean, he's a great team sport, great guy in general. So no, they're definitely. I mean, obviously they wanted to win, but they're great. They're great guys.
Ryan, I got a chance to talk to Ryan Wiedenfeld for about 5 minutes just before your guys' contest, and didn't talk about his dad much, but something he said to me right away when we talked about playing on national TV for the first time is he said he wasn't really nervous. He said he's just the most anxious moment he had was his first bag. He was wondering what that first bag was going to feel like under the lights coming out of his hand. And damn it, if he didn't just rip it right in the hole. I mean, just flipped it, just hammered it right in. I thought that was an awesome moment.
No, that was awesome. I think he probably was more so worried about those boards being faster than – because I had been telling him that the broadcast courts are usually faster, and probably just focusing on not blowing it off the back. But no, he was – after the first bag went in, I knew he'd be fine. He was rock solid. And then I think what helped him even more is the next bag – Jimmy laid a block, and that's Ryan's game. He immediately just cut right over it, like without even thinking.
Yeah.
That's just his normal place. I think that even made him feel even more comfortable after that.
That's the beauty of teenage nerves, right? Yeah. Not even thinking about it. Just this is just, I bet it wasn't even a second thought in his head.
It wasn't. It was as soon as the bag hit the board, he was already in mid-throw. He already knew what was going.
So let's wrap this up. On a personal level, did he talk to you? I mean, his dad literally just passed away. We haven't heard a whole lot of details. It might have been an accident from what we heard, and again, it was unexpectedly that his father passed away. And his dad, it sounds like, Ryan, and you probably know better than we do. It sounds like his dad, it's one thing to lose your dad. It's another thing to lose your dad when he is your biggest fan, your biggest supporter, your inspiration, your motivation. It sounds like he was a huge part of Ryan's life. So to unexpectedly lose him and then still have to compete at a high level and travel with those heavy thoughts. I mean, did you guys talk about that at all?
We didn't talk much. And when I heard about it, I shot him a message like, "Hey man, I'm here if you want to, if you need anything," or if like this was a few weeks before the events we had coming up. So I'm like, if you don't want to play, I completely understand. It's totally understandable, but he wanted to play. Like he wanted to still get out and play. So we went to New Mexico, North Dakota, leading up to Arizona. And, he seemed pretty composed and, just still doing his thing, very quiet, but still throwing bags. So I think that was kind of, and going back to his father, I had a pleasure in meeting him in Myrtle Beach. He was there when we qualified for this event. So Ryan doesn't say a lot, but I know it meant even more so enough that he was there to watch us qualify, that he wanted to win this for, him and his family as well. So I'm just happy we were able to get it done.
Yeah, that was a special moment for many reasons. And you're right. His level of play, that was the first time I had a chance to watch him play live. And he is an assassin, like you said. I mean, just no emotion. And he knows exactly what he's going to throw. Like, I didn't see much hesitation or much thought at all. I mean, I feel like his level of his IQ level of the sport's so high that he just instantly processes what he's going to throw next.
Definitely. I think he paused one time when I think it was somewhere mid game, or I think when they got two, maybe the second or third round, he paused because I told him to lay a block, because if Jimmy airmailed, he was going to drag our bag. And I know he wanted to probably roll over it, and he tried to block it and kicked out, and Jimmy ended up getting two. But that's usually the only time he slowed down. Most in a singles match, he probably would have rolled over it without even thinking. So yeah, he's a fast processor, and he plays smart, aggressive, but smart. Like he'll go bag for bag when he needs to. He'll make it messy and dirty when he wants to as well. So it's like a combination, which is just deadly.
Yeah, he's a perfect example of that new wave, right?
Yep.
These young kids coming up, and then there's a lot of players, and they all kind of play just like that. They don't really, not all of them play to that level, but it's a lot of that same style. And it's all these kids, and they're coming. It's a lot of them, and they're coming.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, Bernie, and I call them, using the baseball analogy, 5-tool players, because they can do everything. Like you just said, I mean, if Ryan wants to go hole for hole, he's going to do that. But yet, if he needs to roll, he'll do that. He can play messy. He can play slide. I mean, to be able to do that, that is going to be the future of the sport, to be that 5-tool player.
Definitely. Yep. I think he threw like a 10-8 or 10-9 in shootouts, and that's usually his average. Usually isn't that high because he's usually laying blockers or doing stuff. But I mean, he has that. He has the capability and talent of doing that when he wants to.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask you, we started talking about Jamie Graham and 18 career titles, tied with Matt Guy for first all time. So you're making your way up that list. So you've got 6 now. I don't know if you know that. I was just talking with Trey Ryder before we came on, and you got 6 career titles, I think is where you're at, and working your way up that list. How much do you think about that, or is that just something stupid that I talk about and that I talk about?
I mean, it's cool to know that stat and things and how you ranks amongst others in the division, but I don't let it get to my head too much. 'Cause I mean, I want to win every event I go and play in anyway. But it's just cool to have tabs on how many titles you've gotten in the division against everyone else.
You're tied with Jordan Kamba and Adam Hissner. I don't know if that means anything to you.
Oh, I didn't know
and actually, you're only one behind James Baldwin.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Watch out. Jeff is a stat machine.
Well, we got Winter Haven coming up next week, so I'll try to pass them there.
I do love it though, because I mean, I like stats. Like, I love it in golf, right? I mean, that was a huge storyline in golf with Tiger Woods. Was he going to catch Jack for the all-time majors, list?
I'm a Debbie Downer kind of guy, because I think those numbers are great as long as everyone got the same chance to win those numbers.
Yeah.
And I think with the shootout series,
You are Debbie Downer. Now you're just going to ruin the whole moment.
No, because not everyone didn't have years of playing with shootout series championships. And if we're counting those to be the same level as a national, that's a little different to me. I mean, I don't know. I think there has to be an asterisk in there as to what the win actually is. So I am Debbie Downer once again. Sorry, Ryan. Sorry, Ryan.
Hey, it's got to start. It's got to start somewhere, though.
I'm with you.
Baseball.
I'm with you.
Baseball. They didn't always play 162 games. Football didn't always play 17 games. Obviously, I mean,
I hear, and there's asterisks in the record books, are there not? For 17-game seasons for the NFL, if you break the rushing record, didn't Eric Dickerson get a mention when he broke Jim Brown in 2 extra games? Wasn't there a mention in the Hall of Fame for that?
I don't know.
Was it just straight apples for apples?
Yeah, I don't know, but that's what I mean. I mean, at some point, every sport changes.
That's slightly different, though, Bernie, because everyone's still playing it. I'd see if some got cut up and they couldn't play in shootouts or something like that. If once you hit
even more to my point, not everyone can even play it. You know, certain players can't even play in the shootouts, so you're taking them completely away from it.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's tough. Is all I'm saying. It's tough to just go blindly by it. But I know Jeff loves the stats. Though. I know he does.
I do. He's
a baseball guy. Baseball guys love stats.
Yeah, maybe that's where it comes from. Yeah. Hey, Ryan, so where do you feel like your game is at as we wrap things up right now? I mean, like I told you when we were talking, kind of wanted to hit you up on where you're at with your mindset and your confidence and practice. And are you still? I mean, this is another issue I've been talking to a lot of players about. I don't want to name any names, but it's getting difficult right now because there's a lot of players who have gone full time in this sport. And there's also a lot of young players who don't have jobs, who are just going to school and playing cornhole. It feels like we're in a real critical time right now. I mean, so how are you? Are you still working? Have you gone full time? Where are you at right now?
Oh no, I wish I could go full time, but no, I'm still. It's expensive out here in Northern Virginia, so I'm still working full time, but I'm also still putting in the time to practice and compete at a high level because. I said the younger guys, I mean, I'm not that old, but the younger guys, the younger crew are throwing nonstop all day, every day. And that's the only way to keep up. There's no way I can just roll up to tournaments and without practice and expect to win it or be at the top of it. So I just got to keep myself motivated just to know, hey, they're practicing. I got to put in some time too. So even when I'm tired, I'm dragging myself over to the warehouse just to throw for 30, 40 minutes before calling it a night. I mean, that's just what you got to do at this level.
How hard is it for you then? All right, this is a question I want to ask every pro that has a full-time job. How on earth do you guys get the time off of work to travel as much as you do?
So my department and job is a bit flexible, which works in my favor. But at the same time, for most events, it's usually only Friday where I'm having to take off. Right. And that's usually for national pro events. Opens, I usually just miss the blind draw and I'll fly out Friday after work. For nationals, it starts on Friday. So those are usually when I have to take days off, like a Friday, and then I'll just fly out Thursday night. So, and I'm usually flying back Thursday evening and I'm at work Monday. So I and I work in logistics and supply chain. So I'm dealing with airlines and flights and routing. So this is it's second nature to me to change a flight quick or book something to get me back. So everyone else is flipping shit. I love it. I mean, I change flights in an instant. I'm always looking at something I lost out. I can fly out. I got all the apps. And so that's not even an issue with me there. So that kind of benefits me as well.
So Ryan, real quick, what's your day like then? I mean, working a full-time job, you said you try to play, even if you're tired, try to play for 30 minutes at night. But I mean, what do you do for a living exactly? And what is your day? Do you work from home?
No, I usually go into the office. So I'm a project manager in the logistics supply chain field. So we're just shipping stuff from point A to point B, usually third world countries. So I'm in an office and I'm sending emails, WhatsApp, Skype messages, talking on the phone all day. And then usually get off around 4 or 5, go home, change, hit the gym, get out of there about 7, 8. And then on my way home, the warehouse is 5 minutes from my where I live. So I'll just stop by the warehouse and throw for about anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling good and I'm just hitting all my shots, I'll cut it short. I'm working on something leading up to an event, like leading up to Arizona this past week or last week, I was actually practicing a lot of blockers because that was, like I was telling you, that was my game plan. I knew I was throwing against Damon because he was throwing outside arm. So I was practicing laying blockers. So I spent more time after the gym just practicing laying first bag blocks, making it messy. So yeah, I'll do that if I'm working on something for, a particular opponent or event or something. I just want to, get better. But yeah,
I'm still struggling with the fact that you say you go to the gym. I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, he doesn't look ripped at all, does he? Yeah, he doesn't look like a guy who has a negative body fat.
Yeah,
but no.
What must that be like?
But no, I try to get in a good solid hour or so, and then head home and call it a night. And that's typically most days. I don't usually practice every day. I try to get at least one day and a break. It's usually Monday. If I'm a long weekend, I'm not practicing. I usually don't even go to the gym. Just go to work, and then I just come home and sleep and rest. And that's usually how Mondays go. And then I'll pick it back up the rest of the week.
It's interesting. You mentioned that you knew you were going to play Damon Dennis. I mean, this was a rare event where it was almost like a football game, right? We knew who the opponents were going to be. You knew who you were going to play against, so you could come up with some sort of strategy. I mean, you're actually, Ryan, I think we've talked to you in the past about using video to scout yourself, to scout other players. Did you do any of that before? Did you watch any video before you played?
I didn't have to do a video because at Myrtle Beach, we actually played Jimmy and Damon later that day or the next day in the open division, and they beat us. And I think I threw a 10 in that game, and Damon threw a 10-8. They beat us 21-14. I was like, all right, there's no way I'm throwing a 10 when we play them in the shootout, and I get just 4 back to death. So Ryan, I had already talked to Ryan because I knew Damon that's how I knew Damon would be throwing outside arm. They weren't going to switch. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm blocking. I'm not letting him throw 4 bags in the hole over and over and over on me again. So from there, I already knew what I was doing.
Yeah, love it. Well, hey, we're out of time, but thank you so much for coming on. Always awesome. Great to catch up with you. And hey, your voice, by the way.
Yeah. Coming back.
Because the truth be told, we wanted to have you on again about a month ago, but I don't think your voice was right where it was at. How you feeling? Everything good with your voice?
It's good. I mean, I'm 2 surgeries down. I actually got a 3rd one March 9th. So wow. I'm at like 80-90% now. Everything's healing well. I just got to do one more cleanup procedure, but yeah, it's already 10 times better than it was a month ago, 2 months ago. You wouldn't have been able to hear anything I was saying. It was pretty bad. So I'm thankful to have my voice back.
Real quick in like 30 seconds. What was it? Because I'm sure a lot of people who don't know.
So I don't know all the technical names. There's a lot of stuff I have on papers at home, but it was basically like a large lesion that was on my right vocal cord, and it was restricting it from vibrating. So it just sounded like I had really bad strep throat or no voice. And it was like this for months. I mean, since like September, it was just bad. And the first procedure, it got a little better, but not really. And then it was just such long times in between the procedures because the doctor was busy. So it was hectic and just like, so I had to battle through that and still practice, but not talk to people at tournaments and all this. Yeah. So it was,
I know.
Just playing head games with people. Hey, Ryan, what's
Yes.
Not right now. Don't have time.
Not right now. Especially for a game that's so social, right? I mean, there's so many people. I mean, hundreds of people at these events. But hey, you look great. Congratulations on the win. So happy that everything's working better. You sound great too. So thanks for coming on again, and we'll see you. We'll see you again soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Thanks, Jeff, Bernie.
See you, buddy.
Later. Alrighty.
Hi, bud. Ryan Smith. Yeah, I mean, he's great with his football background. Love talking to him about that. And I remember we had that conversation. He literally scouts himself. Like he'll watch a video of himself, watch a video of his opponents. I love that. I mean, it's awesome.
I think it's awesome
how he's kind of worked that over.
There are other questions I want to ask Ryan. I just don't know if he really wants to talk about it.
Oh, a tease. All right, we got to go. Remember that. Let's talk about that next week.
Yes, sir.
All right, have a good week, bud.
All right, buddy.
All right, bye, everybody.